scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy
are
Dolls.
happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
Mrs. Grimes had been to Russia on behalf of the children's charity she worked for. She had met many good people doing very good work, but one particular old lady who'd looked after children for years and years had seemed especially nice. She had given Mrs. Grimes a present, a traditional Russian doll, and told her to take great care of it. It was very special.
This is your captain speaking. We should be landing very soon. Please fasten your seatbelts and observe the no smoking sign. Thank you. We hope you have a pleasant flight.
Mrs. Grimes had promised that she would take extra special care of it. And now, true to her word, the Russian doll stood proudly in the centre of the mantelpiece in the little cottage across the yard from the factory, where she now lived with Mr. Grimes. Old Edward, Mr. Grimes' long-lost boyhood teddy bear, and Rupert the Roo lived in the cottage too.
Good day. Welcome to England. I'm a stranger here myself. I'm from down under. You know, Australia. Don't you think we ought to get acquainted? Rupert's the name. Rupert the Roo. What's yours?
Oh, give it up, Rupert, please, begged old Edward wearily. It's making me tired just watching you.
Rupert stopped bouncing and hopped over to old Edward for a quiet word in his ear.
I don't care if she is Russian, he muttered. She's still a stuck-up Sheila in any language.
Perhaps that's the problem, said the old teddy bear. Maybe she doesn't understand English.
Struth, said Rupert. You know, I never thought of that.
Why don't you go and find the Raggy Dolls, sighed old Edward. Maybe they'll be able to help.
Good idea, Sport, said the boisterous kangaroo. No sooner said than done.
Of course we'd like to help, said Dotty, when Rupert had explained the problem. But you do realise that none of us can speak Russian either. Alors, maybe I can speak to her, suggested Claude. I have heard that en La Russe many people can speak the French très bien. Good thinking, said Dotty. Yeah, it's certainly worth a try, agreed Back to Front.
Good on you, Sports, said Rupert.
As the Raggy Dolls made their way across the big field with Rupert the Roo, Princess suddenly had an idea.
It's just occurred to me she might be royalty, and maybe she expects some kind of special treatment.
Well, she certainly seems a bit stuck up to me, I must say, confided Rupert.
We mustn't jump to any hasty conclusions,
warned Dotty.
That's right, said Lucy. Maybe it's just that they have different customs where she comes from.
Yeah, but she hasn't said a word since the day she arrived, said the kangaroo. And where I come from, we call that stuck up.
Maybe she can't speak at all,
said Sad Sack. Everyone stopped.
Maybe she's a reject too, said Hi-Fi.
Struth, said Rupert.
I didn't think of that either. Why is it every time I open my mouth, I go and stick my big foot in it?
Let's just wait and see, said Dotty. Whatever the reason, we must do all we can to make her welcome.
The Russian doll stared blankly down at the Raggy Dolls from her position of importance on the mantelpiece as Claude stepped forward.
Bonjour, madame. Parlez-vous française? Je suis Claude, et ceux-ci sont mes amis, les Raggy Dolls.
There was no reply.
Comment allez-vous?
said Dotty hopefully.
We ought to introduce ourselves properly,
whispered Princess.
You know, a bit more formally.
Dotty agreed and stepped forward.
Hello. My friends and I are called the Raggy Dolls, and like you, we are also dolls. But unfortunately, we are rejects, and we live in the reject bin across the yard in the factory.
The Russian doll blinked.
Say something else,
whispered back to front.
I think it's working. We would all like to make you most welcome now that you have come here to stay. And if there's anything we can do for you, anything at all, please tell us,
added Lucy. The Russian doll raised her eyebrows.
My name is Dotty, and I'm a reject because I got paint splashed over me.
And I'm called back to front because they stuck my head on the wrong way.
I should have been her princess, but the machine tore my dress and cut my hair. I'm called Lucy because my arms and legs are all floppy and loose.
Sadsack patted his stomach.
Too much stuffing, he said. They didn't think anyone would like me.
The Russian doll began to smile.
I can't speak properly,
stammered Hi-Fi.
As you can see, there is nothing wrong avec moi,
said Claude.
They only forget to send me à la France. But I am very happy here. These are my chums. They are the best friends in the world. I would like to make friends with them,
said a young girl's voice from inside the Russian doll.
They sound very nice,
said an older woman. The Raggy Dolls stared in amazement as the Russian doll frowned for a moment, but then smiled.
I am delighted to meet you all, she said. I am Natasha, a traditional Russian doll.
So you can speak English,
exclaimed Rupert.
We can speak many languages, said Natasha. Enchanté, Monsieur Claude. Comment ça va?
Ça va bien, merci,
grinned Claude in delight.
What did she mean by we?
Thought Sadsack. Then everyone gasped as Natasha floated up into the air and down towards them. Even old Edward got off his chair. Slowly descending from inside Natasha's body, one by one, down came a baby, a schoolgirl, a teenage girl, a young woman, a bride, a mother, and last of all, Natasha herself.
There are 7 of you,
exclaimed Lucy happily.
What are your names? We are all called Natasha,
said the schoolgirl.
Isn't that a bit confusing for you all?
Inquired old Edward politely. Natasha smiled as all the other Natashas introduced themselves to the Raggy Dolls. She turned to old Edward and explained.
We are all the same person, she said. When a person grows, they go through many changes. Whoever we are, we can never really lose whoever we were. Surely you are old enough, like me, to understand this. I'm afraid I am, chuckled old Edward. I understand only too well.
The old teddy bear and Natasha watched the others busily chatting and getting to know each other.
It is good, no?
said Natasha.
I am going to like it here.
I'm very glad,
said old Edward.
Very glad indeed.
Sadsack looked down at the little baby Natasha, who was smiling and making big eyes at him.
Do you like me?
he said.
Da,
she said.
Da, da.
Even I know that's Russian for yes,
he thought. And Sadsack smiled, the soppiest smile he had ever smiled in his life.
Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, stand on your 2 left feet and